Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. Each day, we have two different types of Zoom webinars. We have those for prospective clients, in other words, small business owners, entrepreneurs that are looking for funding, and that's a different set of Zooms. And then this one, or these, 8 o'clock a.m. Central, are really designed more for entrepreneurs who are looking at becoming distribution partners or are current distribution partners. We have two types of distribution partners. We have affiliates, and that is not really the topic today, but affiliates, it's real simple and easy. You can go to our website, which is shown on the screen, 509pacific.org. I'll make that larger for you. And you can very easily become an affiliate. It doesn't cost anything. You get your landing page, you refer and you get paid. But our primary focus is not that. Our primary focus is building a national footprint of small business resources, what we call Shelf Corp Stores. And we're going to go through what that means today and how those operate. There's no cost. I'm not trying to sell you something. But if you're interested in owning a Shelf Corp store in your community, then you can let us know and we'll let you know how. We have a dual mandate under the grant we received, one of which is to increase financial literacy and increase access to capital. So that makes sense. The second mandate, though, is to work strategically with community leaders across the country to accomplish number one. So the way that we've decided to approach this is we haven't divided the country, but the country is divided into states and cities, and that becomes a bit complicated, but we're going to go with a county-based approach. So our goal, our anticipation is to develop a Shelf Corp store in each county across the United States. And so that's the scope of exclusive territory. And again, we're not selling you a territory. It's just if you're going to take the time and effort to work with clients and community leaders in a given area, we don't want you competing with someone else. So let's start with the profile here. And then anytime you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to type it into the Q&A. It's like a chat box of Zoom. So we are developing a national network of local offices called Shelf Corp Stores. And we invite you to apply to own one. Again, this is not a franchise. It's not a pay for business opportunity. Just understand our background. We have a great resource to help small business owners through Shelf Corps. They're immediately fundable. They're free because of the grant. So we've got the deliverable. We just needed a better delivery system. And the system that we had was composed of a bunch of really talented, smart people that mostly were dabblers. They do a little bit, but not so much. They're juggling multiple balls. So now we want to have true physical offices, brick and mortar offices all across the country. And so we're looking for those of you that would like to partner to do that. And in other words, you would own a Shelf Corp store, which puts you at the nucleus of entrepreneurialism in your community by doing what? Increasing financial literacy and access to capital. These two really go together because what I know, and probably what you've seen, most small business owners, they want money. A lot of them need money, but they don't understand what it means to have a fundable business. Therefore, they don't qualify. So our goal is not just to go get people money, which that is a secondary goal. We want to first increase their financial literacy, which includes helping them understand what does it mean to have a fundable business and to have a fundable business. Because once you have a fundable business, it's not hard to get funding. It's nearly impossible to get funding if you don't have a fundable business, and that's typically the problem. So we'll go through some of the highlights here in a minute, and then we'll come back to the timeline, and you have our contact information. So the main number to our 501c3, which you're welcome to call at any time, it's typically answered live, but if the staff's busy, it'll go to voicemail as you'd expect, but we'll call you back, is 903-352-3390. The website, where if you wanted to start as an affiliate, you can do that free and easy there on 509 Pacific. And then Madison's email is here. All right, well, let's go through some of the highlights of the Shelf Corp store and then roll out the WorkHub aspect, which we've not talked about. Today is the first day that we're rolling out the WorkHubs. I think you're going to be really interested. So let's get started. And again, at any time, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to type it into the Q&A. So as the owner of a Shelf Corp store, think of H&R Block. You know, H&R Block has figured out how to get brick and mortar stores all across the country to help people with their taxes. And of course, that's a different industry. That's not what we do. Or Edward Jones. Edward Jones has opened over 3,000 offices across the country to help people with their financial investing. So we want to be the market leader in financial literacy and access to capital by offering local presence, local stores that are in local communities to assist entrepreneurs with having a fundable business. Part of that proposition is helping them improve credit if needed, and that's free, of course. Getting them their first 100,000 in 24 hours, and that's guaranteed in writing. Setting them up with daily bank deposits, business plans, and much more. So we have a different flyer that we've gone through several trainings that really break down the client value proposition. So if you've not seen this or been on those trainings, then I would encourage you to reach out to Madison, and she can send you this, or you can go back and watch any of our prior trainings where we really broke this down in detail, because this is the client proposition. Today, we're talking more about the proposition of being a collaborative partner. As I mentioned, we wanted to include geographic exclusivity. And again, you're not buying some territory, but we don't want you to spend time and effort working with bankers and business leaders and chambers of commerce only for someone else to come in and piggyback off the work that you've done. So we will have just one Shelf Corp store per county. It is set up as a turnkey business model, so this isn't like a McDonald's or a Domino's where we teach you how to make pizza or make hamburgers and then you go do it. Our approach is different, which I'll describe. Essentially, we're going to do all the work. You're the interface with the community. But you'll be ready to start making money day one. Now, I can send you the financial projections. Ultimately, how much you make is dependent upon you. Because what do we know we're going to do? We're going to be increasing financial literacy, and typically we don't sell that. We don't charge for that. So that is not a revenue stream unless you want it to be, which would be your choice. But primarily what we want to do is focus on helping clients, small businesses, access capital. And the way that we do that is through them buying a Shelf Corp from you. You determine the sales price of the Shelf Corps. Our wholesale cost, what it cost us to deliver it. So we're your back office. We're doing all the work. We're providing all the deliverables. So we know it's costing us right at $10,000 for all the legal fees and all the expenses. So that's what we'll call the wholesale cost. You can mark it up as much as you want. So in terms of how much money you'll generate, we're going to need to determine two variables. What do you want your sales price to be? Most of you are selling each Shelf Corp between $15,000 and $25,000, but it's up to you. You could sell it for more, you could sell it for less. You know you need to sell at least for $10,000 for us to be able to cover our cost as your back office. So the first variable is what your sales price is going to be, and then the second variable would be, of course, how many of these Shelf Corps are you going to sell? If you follow the model of the Shelf Corp store, it's built around, again, having a very visible presence in the community. And then that means that the local bankers know who you are and what you do. Therefore, and we're building this off the SBA model, I should mention. So the three of us that all started this, we all used to work for the SBA. So the SBA has a delivery system called SBDC, Small Business Development Centers, and that's what the platform we're building off of. So with that being said, when I worked at the SBA, I worked very closely with all the bankers in the community. I typically had their cell phone numbers, they had my work cell phone number, and as they had clients that came to them for a business loan that couldn't get approved, they would refer them to us. So that's the type of strategic and intrinsic involvement that you should have in your community. So that allows for great flow of clients. How many clients you'll help, I don't know, it'll depend upon your marketing plan. And we'll have you come in and we'll do a full day together with our team and help you walk out with a marketing plan. But at a conservative level, you should be helping one client a day. And assuming you're closed on weekends, that's 20 a month. 20 times, even if you're just charging 15,000, is right at 100,000 a month. So we feel very comfortable building financial projections off of 100,000 a month, 1.2 million a year, but it could be a lot more, especially for those of you that are going after the larger counties. We've had inquiries on LA County, on Fulton County, on Dallas, Texas counties. So large counties, I mean, you should be able to do one an hour, quite frankly, if you have an effective outreach. With the Shelf Corp store, we do provide expanded support. So what's awesome is you're actually working with other motivated Shelf Corp store owners. So again, that's the problem that we've had that we're solving with this delivery system. We've had a bunch of smart people, but they were mostly dabblers. And so we just didn't have the right motivated, focused group. Now, if you decide to own a Shelf Corp store, you are working with other Shelf Corp store owners. So you'll have access to the directory of all of them. And then we'll, of course, we'll be getting together on a quarterly basis. We'll continue to have these daily trainings and support. And then we have kind of an inaugural training event that we encourage, not require, but encourage all Shelf Corp store owners to attend. So you come in, meet our staff, and spend the day. And as I mentioned, we'll train you on the processes. Even though we're doing the implementation, which we'll talk about in a moment, you obviously need to know how everything works. One of the important elements, which is another change from what we've done in the past with the Shelf Corp stores, is you or someone on your team will control all client communication. So you might say, well, this sounds like a lot of work. Well, let's assume that you're bringing in 100,000 a month. You don't have to run the Shelf Corp store by yourself. You could hire an office manager, an administrative assistant, or what have you if you want. This is not requiring you to perform all the services, but there's really two roles that you're filling if you're going to run a store: community outreach and then client communication. So we're going to be your back office. We're going to do all the work. We're going to provide all the deliverables that are provided to the client, but you or someone with your team is going to be communicating with the clients. We believe that that's a better approach, because what we've done in the past is we would have our distribution partners generate the clients, and then our team would be working with the clients, and they would sometimes not like hearing from two different people. Sometimes there'd even be inconsistencies in what was said. So now we'll have just one voice with the client, and that would be you or someone from your staff. But don't be confused. It's very, very easy to implement. We'll be your back office. We're going to handle all the client processing. You focus on community outreach and client management. We won't have to worry about leads. We provide $100,000 startup allowance. Now, that's meant to be working capital. We do need to have a physical brick and mortar office. And so if you're going to buy a building instead of lease, then on top of the working capital, of course, we would facilitate the financing for the purchase of the office. And again, this is not a sales proposition to you. We're looking for interested, committed, competent distribution partners. So with that, we've covered some of this before. So those of you that have been on the trainings, you probably have heard these bullets discussed. We've gone through the specific deliverables. If you've not seen this or heard us go through and describe this, because this is the best way to, I think, enroll clients is to educate them, let Madison know, and she can help you. I do want to go ahead and bring you up to speed on the work hubs. So we have 22 or 23 Shelf Corps now spoken for and more every day. But we had a conference call last night with all of the kind of the inaugural Shelf Corp store owners. And I forget who it was. I forget if it was Claude or who it was that brought it up last night that said, hey, we need to realize that a lot of these entrepreneurs need a more basic set of practical help in addition to all of these deliverables that we're providing. So we're labeling that the work hub. So if you want to open a store, you have the option to add the work hub. What does the work hub mean? A WorkHub provides practical and hands-on assistance to early-stage entrepreneurs. So imagine you have your building, and in your building you have an area where your clients, entrepreneurs, can come in and they can work. Because a lot of people that are early-stage business owners, they don't have an office yet. They don't have a place they can work. So you got babies crying in the background. You got mama yelling at papa in the background. You got Days of Our Lives blaring. I mean, it's in no way conducive to starting or running a business. So the Work Hub would allow the entrepreneurs to be able to come in and have a place to work. Some entrepreneurs lack the technology. We talk to some folks and they have to go to the library to go use a damn computer. So if you're going to do the Work Hub, in addition to providing some flexible workspaces, we would set up workstations there with internet access, printers, and such. And I know that sounds very basic, but you got to realize some of these entrepreneurs are starting with next to nothing. And then we want to really create a community-based experience. I think commonly weekly workshops with different topics being presented, great networking between the different clients, as well as access to resources. I know some of you are looking at setting up a chair massage units because starting a business can be stressful. Some of you are looking at setting up like a drink bar. Some of you are going to have only non-alcoholic drinks. Some of you are going to literally have beer and wine available. And again, that's up to you. You can set up the flavor that you want, the design. But with that being said, let's go ahead and address the questions, comments, concerns that any of you have about would you like to own a Shelf Corp store in your community? So go ahead and type those questions into the Q&A. All right, Anthony's asking me to scroll down to the contact information. Okay, so Kenya says yes. Kenya, I see the word yes, but I don't know what your question is. So go ahead and type in the question if you would, Kenya. Claude brings up a good point. So a prerequisite, and we've covered it on the other trainings, I guess it just didn't fit on the page here today, is that you do need to buy a Shelf Corp if you want to own a Shelf Corp store. Well, why is that? Well, number one, the best training we could ever provide you is called experiential training. You actually go through it. So that's number one. And then number two, that's how we're going to be able to facilitate the funding. So you have the money to be able to have payroll. All right, Carlos is asking about payroll. So you're managing the P&L. This is your business, and we're providing the back offices. So we don't tell you what to do, but there are some expectations. So, and I feel like that's what Carlos is asking. What are some of the expectations? Well, the Shelf Corp store should be a brick and mortar store. You can buy or you can lease, but should be a physical flag in the sand to show that you're there in the community. Secondly, it should be open at least 40 hours a week. That doesn't mean you have to be there all the time, but someone needs to be there. The Work Hub is purely optional. I think this would be viewed very positively by key influencers. Because when you're going to the Chamber of Commerce and business bankers and other community leaders and telling them that part of your mission is to provide those practical and hands-on assistance needed to help small businesses get started, I think you'll get a lot of positive press. We could develop a press release off of this alone. You want to be accessible, right? What we've had before is all these smart people, men and women, and they work from their back bedroom, and they're just not really visible and not necessarily seen credible in the community. So you're going out under your umbrella. We're your back office. We're your administrative service company. We're going to provide the scope of services. So yes, we'll provide the business plans for all the clients. You don't have to do it. We're going to provide the financials. We're going to provide our attorneys and paralegals will take care of the credit improvement. We're going to provide them the commercial addresses, and we're going to provide the business entities. We're going to provide the $100,000 transfer. So we're doing the work. We're doing the work. We just need competent, motivated people in the local communities who are going to be the community outreach and the client interface. So, Claude, sorry, that was a long answer to your question. Kenya has found a space. Okay, great. So going back to Claude's question. So anyone that wants to own a Shelf Corp store, we need to start by getting your Shelf Corp set up itself, because that's going to be the infrastructure for this to happen. So if you don't have a Shelf Corp already from us, what you can do is you can call Madison or you can email Madison and we can get that set up today. So here's the timeline. And I guess this is what I missed here. I bounced around, sorry. So first, you want to get with us and we need to find out if your county is available, because we're only going to have one store per county. Now, that's a real weakness. And so let's talk about that for a moment. Let's say that you wanted Clark County, which is where Las Vegas is. Excellent opportunity, but it's, that Clark County is a big area and traffic can kind of be rough. So it may very well be that you would want to have a main office and satellite offices. I know some of us are looking at setting up satellite offices in libraries where people are going, or in chambers of commerce. We'll cover all that when you come in for the in-person training. But the point is, we need to see if your county is available. So you might have multiple stores by one owner in a county, but only one owner per county. So then we need to go find the physical office. Then we need to get you in for our in-person training, one-day training, and then we'll be open for business afterwards. And frankly, we talked yesterday, if need be, if there's going to be some delay on this, because sometimes you can't move into a new building right away, we could do a soft launch where you're open for business, helping people making money virtually while waiting for you to move into your office. But Claude's right. We need to start by having a Shelf Corp ourselves. All right. So anyway, Kenya's found an office, which is great. So that is outstanding. Yeah. So normally what you do when you find offices is normally you will get a realtor and you have to decide, do you want to lease an office or buy it? But we can facilitate the financing if you want to buy it. If all you're going to do is lease it, then the working capital will take care of that. All right. Ken mentions about personal credit. So that's right. So let's go over here to this is more of the worksheet that you and your staff would work with each prospect. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a lot of people that want money, that they need money, but they don't know what it means to be fundable, and oftentimes they're not fundable. So we're going to provide the services to help them become fundable. One of those elements is free credit improvement. As we talked about in other trainings, we don't do credit repair. We went through an FTC audit and we demonstrated we do not do credit repair, but we do work with attorneys and paralegals that do remove negative items called derogatories and add positive. So it's a legal approach. The good thing is it's free. The good thing is it's fast. The very aggressive approach that our legal team uses, it takes 4 days, FOUR, 4 days to remove derogatories. That's much different than traditional credit repair of dispute. So Ken's talking about personal credit. So some lenders look at personal credit of the owner, some don't. That's why we built this in, Ken. So everyone that gets a Shelf Corp, including yourself, we're going to help you improve your credit so you look credible on paper, so you qualify for financing. It's again true that some lenders don't look at personal credit, but since some do, traditional ones do, we might as well address it. And that's really the theme here, right? We've identified what most small business owners are missing, and we're providing that. We're providing them the lender compliant business plan and financials, making sure that their credit looks strong, making sure they have a good, unique commercial address, make sure they have a good compliant business entity, making sure they have collateral for the loan, making sure that they have daily deposits or at least frequent deposits going into their business bank account that shows they have capacity. So yes, Ken, credit matters, not with all lenders, but in general, we've built that in. So you'll never need to turn anyone away. You'll never need to turn anyone away because of credit. All right. It looks like Anthony caught onto this. So pricing, the way that most Americans, like it or not, look at pricing is what's out of my pocket, what's my upfront cost. So when we sell Shelf Corps, they can pay you in full, and you would be determining what that amount is, or we can just collect $1,000 down payment. It's a non-refundable down payment that they would pay to you. They pay to you. And then that would allow us to go ahead and secure financing for the rest. What is the rest? It depends on how much you're selling the Shelf Corp for. So if you're selling the Shelf Corp for $15,000, they pay you $1,000 down. That's money in your pocket today. And then we do the back office. We'll go find them financing for the remaining $14,000. So yes, this is not the total price. We couldn't afford to. You wouldn't make any money, any material money, and we couldn't afford to provide the scope of services. But yes, you can certainly sell it on $1,000 out-of-pocket cost because that's a factual statement. Good catch. Jimmy's asking a little bit about as far as adding trade lines and a D&B profile. Yes, so we can certainly do all of that for the Shelf Corps. Yes, sir. We typically like to add 3 to 5 business trade lines under the EIN is our norm. Zahn says it sounds wonderful. Thank you. And I know when new things come along, it's not familiar, but just imagine we could go back and if you and I could be investors, I'm not asking you to invest anything, but if you and I could have been investors in H&R Block before they started expanding nationally, or UPS with the UPS stores, again, Edward Jones. So we're taking a need, a problem. The problem is access to capital as well as financial literacy. So that's the problem. There is no unified solution to that. It's a very fragmented industry. And so what we've done is we've built a model that leverages legal loopholes that allows us to very quickly, almost immediately, create a fundable business. And so we have a unique offering. Now we're focused on the distribution system. And it's great for those of you that would like to own something, that would like to run your own business that's turnkey, no upfront cost, and allows you to be able to make a difference in your community. Claude asked about the 1,000. So yes, so the 1,000 is a non-refundable deposit paid to buy the Shelf Corp. They're paying you, Claude, the $1,000. Is that the entire cost? No, you determine the entire cost. But once they pay the down payment, then we can secure the financing for the rest. And hopefully that's not a surprise. We've covered that every time. So Shelf Corp Stores is the delivery model. The WorkHub is an optional component that if you want to add the WorkHub, that just allows you to provide more resources to the community, to small business owners. You don't have to do it, but I think if you build into your plan, and so it's going to require a little bit more working capital, right? Because now we're going to have a little bit bigger space. It could be shared space, it could be dedicated space, it could be open space or closed offices or some combination of that. That's up to you. You could look up WeWork, WEWRK, if you wanted an analogy. Need a little bit of a budget to get the workstation set up for the folks. The rest of this I don't think would necessarily be a cost, but I think you'll see a lot of traction if you build WorkHub into your Shelf Corp store, and we'll train you and prep you on that when you come into our one-day training, which is mentioned here. All right. Kim says, if we buy the office, who owns it? You'll own it. You own it. So this is your business. This is your store. This is your business. And if you buy real estate, you own it. We're not a partial owner. We're your back office. We're called an administrative service organization, ASO. We're providing the scope of services. All of this we're providing. You're doing the community development, community outreach, and client management. Good question, Kim. Celino brings up a good point. So yes. So we're going to set, if you want to do this, we're going to get you set up with a Shelf Corp yourself first. That's going to provide funding. And then absolutely getting a company car makes all the sense in the world. Getting company credit cards, absolutely. And that's similar to what Jimmy asked earlier. Are we going to add trade lines? Yeah, so we should go get you 3 to 5 company credit cards. Absolutely. So you're going to go through the Shelf Corp process just like these clients would. So you understand it. You've walked through it, and they might ask you, well, Zahn, have you done it? And you can say, hell yeah, I've done it. Look around. That's my Mercedes S560 in front. That's in my company's name. This building is in my company name. You can flip out your 3 company credit cards. So Zahn and others, you're exactly right. We want to go through it so we're living testimonies, and then we're not, it's not MLM. We're not trying to recruit them to have Shelf Corp stores, but we're trying to help them have fundable businesses through the Shelf Corp itself. So there's a difference between having a Shelf Corp and a Shelf Corp store. The store represents those of us who are educating and helping others get the Shelf Corp. Zahn asked, are you going to charge for the hub? And that's a great question. That'll be your decision. So depending upon your projections and your expenses and the revenue, you might charge a monthly access fee, or you might make it for free. That would be up to you. We wouldn't be any part of that. We wouldn't be making any money. I think offering some free services to the marketplace is the best way to get a lot of positive PR and a lot of traffic, because you want feet in the street. You want traffic into your store is what I'm trying to say. So if you have people coming in to use the flexible workspaces, you have entrepreneurs coming in to use your workstations, I bet you'll have a 9 out of 10 chance of them enrolling and getting a Shelf Corp, because they would rather be going to their own office, but they can't afford it yet, right? So if you can provide them a starting point, walk them through this comparison grid as we've had other trainings on, I do think you'll close 8 or 9 out of 10. In-person trainings are located in Texas. We're still working on our flagship store. It's not immediate to close on a purchase and to do the remodeling. So in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area is where our in-person trainings are. All right, well, we've covered a lot. Sorry to run long. We have this new flyer, and I think it does a little bit of a better job of explaining the proposition, not trying to sell you anything, but just simply looking for like-minded professionals that would like to earn 1.2 million a year or more, helping other small businesses with their financial literacy and access to capital. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, reach out. Madison most likely will answer. If she can't help you, she'll get one of us that can. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back on Monday morning. Same time, same place.